All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Well, BJ can hear me. Everyone's nodding their head. Lisa can't hear me. Turn your
I can
volume up
hear.
on your computer, Lisa. uh, all right. All right. All right, good. Well, thanks for joining today from our respective houses. Henry, you're there too.
Holy crap, Henry's on? No way.
He is, yeah.
Hey, Henry. That's awesome.
All right, so I'll go through all this stuff. If you have any questions, go ahead and speak up. Let's try not to all talk at once because then we can't hear anybody. But we'll go over some of the facts first. We'll show you some other stuff too. And right now, for our market over the past 3 months, for the first quarter, the facts are that our sales are down by 3%. That's 7 fewer listings sold for the first quarter of 2020 versus 2019. So that's virtually the same kind of market. Our sales price is down 1%, virtually the same as well. So that's both positive numbers. Days on the market are still pretty close. I think our days on the market now is 74. Last year was 68. So it's really a wash there as well. The one thing that did drop a little bit, our percent of list price is 97.7 versus 98.1. So it's still a substantial amount. Anyways, looking over our shoulder, pretty positive first quarter, certainly considering, we admit, Lori. And the Breck market hit it out of the ballpark. So those in the Breck market, you guys are going gangbusters. Congrats. And what I mean by that is for the month of March, Summit County had 91 sales this year. Last year they had 85, so that's an increase of about 7%. The Breck market went from 30 to 45, and that's an increase of 50%. So the Breck market sales for the month of March increased by 50%. March 2020 versus March 2019. That's a small number, 15, but it's still that's a big percentage increase. 50% is always good. A heck of a lot better than a negative. How's that? But that's the looking at it in a nutshell. When my market update that will go out later today, it'll have this that you can see on your screen.
Oh, nice.
Goes over kind of what I just mentioned, but it shows it by town. It shows our average sold price, gain or negative, whatever it might be. Silverthorne is a pretty substantial gain there. It could be from a number of things, such as a bunch of Summit Sky Ranch properties selling, a little higher prices, etc. Dillon is about the same. I thought it would have come in a little lower with maybe lower condos selling, but that's not the case. Keystone, you're seeing a decline there. Sales decline as well. In the Breck market, a little bit of a decline. So I guess when you're talking in the millions, 10% is a pretty good sizable chunk of money for a decline. But overall, pretty good. Definitely the south side this year starting off with much stronger. I'm emitting someone else. There we go. Wasn't letting me emit her. Anyways, south side starting off stronger. First quarter of the year, not a lot of sales, but we're looking at a pretty positive numbers. Home sales are down 4%. Condo sales are up 4%. The number of sales for homes is down a little bit more, 16%. Condo sales and number of sales are down 4%. And this is just all boilerplate stats that it's tend to start setting a trend as we move forward. These big variances tend to diminish as we go into the summer. As we get more sales, that 40% decline in Keystone should soften a little bit, just like the a 17% increase in the Silverthorne average sold price, that's going to soften if history repeats itself. It tends to soften a little bit, but it does set some sort of trends as we roll into our summer. That's our sales right there in a nutshell. Here's our sales by town. And this is 2019 versus 2020. Looking at the same numbers that we just saw on the Summit County map, it just kind of shows you in a graphic form that sometimes it's just a little visual, sometimes is better for people to look at. So you can see the gains here, 29% increase in the Breckenridge market, 29% increase in sales for the first quarter. Copper, 33% increase. Of course, that's just I think from 9 sales to 12 sales. So it's a small number. Keystone, you're seeing a substantial decline as well in Dillon for just the number of sales. But again, this just kind of shows you a visual. And some people will look at the numbers and like to see the concrete number. Other people like to glance at something like this because it's easy to, picture is worth 1,000 words. Video is worth a lot more. How's that? The sales by month, kind of went over that. This chart here, obviously going forward, only shows 18 and 19, but looking backwards over the last quarter, we have January, February, March, and those sales are for each year. And the green is this year, so you can see we're kind of bumping right around where we were. Last year, we did see a decline in sales in June. So as we went forward, under contract activity declined, and then it picked it all back up. I'm pointing with my finger instead of my mouse thing. I'm thinking you can see my finger and you can't. Because in the year it picked up and we gained what we lost right through here. Actually gained substantial. So it was a very good end last quarter of the year. So we did sales by town. We did pending. So this is interesting. This is our pending properties right now. When I ran this, I think it was 318 properties that were pending. And this over here in this left-hand side, the Breckenridge area, the blue represents all that's pending in the Breck market. The orange is just representative of what of that blue amount is new construction. So you can kind of glance at this to say, wow, Breckenridge market has 23% of what's under contract is new construction. Frisco, 22% of what's under contract is new construction. And again, the Frisco numbers all 9, I think 2 of them are new construction. Silverthorne, 90%, and you have a much higher number here in Silverthorne. 90% of that big number is new construction. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I think it might be 170 something under contract, 155 of them are new construction. And then Dillon, same way, close to 80% of the contract is new construction. And Keystone, similar thing, 77% of what's under contract is new construction. 82% on the north side. Could speculate and say, well, that's probably reflective by this. This is this number of sales. I just jumped back to another graph. Trying to admit somebody that somehow won't admit. There you go. Maybe this 19% decline right here in sales for the first quarter could be because there's so much new construction under contract. So when they put something new under contract, it's not going to close right away. It'll close later on down the road. So that may be pulling more out of the market for the resale market anyways. So this is a pretty interesting graph when you think, wow, we got 318 under contract. How many of those are going to close in the near term? And how many of those are going to close down the road? Like next month, not next month, but summertime, even sometimes next year. So we look forward. So looking over our shoulder, we've had a good first quarter. Good first quarter, great opportunities to make money. Looking forward from the virus stuff and other things, we're looking at a lull, kind of like we had a lull last year, shortly right around this time. And that lull is going to be representative in closings that are going to occur. So this chunk right here above that 82%, that's what might close over the next month and a half. That's a resale environment. And this chunk, orange chunk down through here, some of that will close over the next month and a half, thanks to Todd and Corey and other new construction that'll close, but not all of it will. So if we look at this number, and I think it's 67, 27% of our current under contract market is resale. 27% will probably close over the next 2 months. The rest of it, 73%, is new construction, and that probably won't all close over the next 2 months. So if we look back and see what we had for sales last year during that time period, I think we had, say, 250 sales. This year we're looking at having maybe close to 90 plus maybe 40 of new construction that might close. And we're looking at a deficit of sales that will occur as we look forward right now. And so over the next 2 months, the sales numbers should drop. And but if you look at this, the inventory, here's our inventory right here. This is last April. This is this April right here.
That's
Our
good.
little roller coaster ride there. We're already increasing substantially in our number of properties that are available. When this virus stuff, when they release the gates from Denver to come up here, people are going to come up. Chances are they're going to buy. And what we're going to be looking at in our summer selling season, which would be through here, we're going to be looking at, instead of 750, 800, we're going to have numbers up here.
Wow.
It goes to show that we're probably going to be in that 1,000 or more peak for available properties. So we're going to get last year during this time period, or here, we all said we need more properties because our buyers want to buy more properties, or they want to pick and choose from a larger number of properties. This year, they're going to get that opportunity. They're going to be able to pick and choose. And so that's positive for the buyers. They'll still come back up. And we'll have another graph here where I'll show you history. And I'll give you my 2 cents with my crystal ball, which doesn't work far in the future, but it tends to work in the short term. How's that? But so they're going to have more to pick and choose from. With that said, our sellers are going to have more competition. So we're still seeing a good, solid price out there, but a lot of stuff that's coming on the market now and going under contract, a lot of it's kind of priced more towards last year's numbers than last year's plus a 10% gain or something like that. So that may increase as we go forward. So inventory increases, your competition increases, which means now in the summer of 2020, we're going to have more direct competition for specific properties versus last year when we had indirect competition. Didn't have a ton of like properties, like didn't have a ton of Lake Forest on the market, didn't have a ton of specific condo complexes. You had varied listings. This year, we stand to see a lot more direct competition. That direct competition is probably going to hold prices down a little bit or keep them from going up at a huge rate. That's just my opinion. That tends to what happens when you start having a large supply in the mix. Trying to admit someone else that got bumped up. Does that all make sense? Can you hear me?
Who?
Yeah, Paula just thumbs up. All right. But so anyways, it's kind of interesting. We're seeing definitely seeing a gain of listings, and I think that competition is going to be good. Things are still going under contract. We just have to abide by our new way of showings right now, and listings are going to continue to accrue. You know, they'll probably come in a pretty strong wave. We've had a wave already that started in March, and that kind of started what normally we'd see at the end of the ski season. Our ski season was in March, and now we're seeing much better a gain earlier. But I think that gain will be not aggravated by, but it'll happen in a manner that's going to be, there's going to be extra stuff in there. Somebody might be concerned about the market, so they want to put the property on the market. Somebody might be concerned about not being able to rent their property. So you're gonna have extra listings on the market this year just due to the nature of the economy and things that are going on today. So be prepared for that. Just stay in touch with your sellers, get them priced. I've had a lot of conversations with people about where to price listings right now. Get them priced to where they'll attract a buyer, and there's still buyers out there buying. So it's a light in our dark tunnel that we're in right now with this virus stuff. Now we have this one here. Can you guys see that one okay? This graph here where we have this line, that's our history right there. We have a decline here. That was 2000, 2001. That was economic decline. It was a very short-term decline, and we came back out of it. So it was caused by the markets, not by real estate. In fact, most of our declines have all been caused by something going on with the economy, except for our huge decline here, which that was caused by us. That was a direct cause by the housing market, and it was caused by whatever we want to speculate on. It was caused by lending, and people were overextended, and boom, it all collapsed. And it was the housing market that collapsed, not so much with the economy. The housing market caused it, and that's why we had such a huge decline. These numbers here are minus 14% in sales, minus 43% in the number of sales, and then another 24%. Oh, those are some brutal years there. And here's where the prices went. So it kept going up as it was coming down, and they kind of softened a little bit. I can't remember what that is, but I think that's minus 7% right there. And then minus 10%, and then it kind of bounced, and then it started going back up again. Everything kind of follows this bar. We're right here right now. We're here with our sales. And this year, talking to different people, some people think we're going to have a lull in right now as we go forward. So we're looking at April, May, and June, and then it'll kick back into gear. And so that kicking back into gear may make up some on these numbers, but even if it does go down a little bit and the price 7% gain is lost and we're at last year's pricing, we're still looking at the potential of a very minimal price reduction. Again, minus 10% on $1 million is 100 grand, so that's a big chunk of money, but it's still, in the grand scheme of things, gets caught back up again as we go forward. Well, this graph is good. A lot of people are using this graph to show their buyers where our market has been, to show that here's an economic hiccup right here. Here's the housing hiccup, and we're not the cause of this hiccup right now. It's going to be the virus, economy shutting down, and then when they open it back up again, things will flood back in. Almost think of it as I haven't been through this before, so I'm just predicting through my crystal ball that we entered into this in a slow, steady, we'll do a little bit here, a little bit there. Started in March, and then the restrictions started incrementally increasing to where we are at right now. So now we are at stay at home, don't do business essentially. And once we get the green light, it'll probably go back out the same way it came back in. There'll probably be incremental restrictions released. And if it seems okay, they'll release a little bit more. So I would expect that we're going to come out of this the same way we went in. So if we start coming out later in April, it's not going to be bam, we're out, back to business as usual. It's probably going to be, let's try this for a week, see if we can, if it holds good. All right, that's good. Let's try a little more for the next week. We'll go back out the same way we went back in. So we'll probably be going out, and then we'll hit our free to do business and whatever new stuff. I don't have any, I do free to do business, except for we'll probably still be carrying this stuff around in our cars. We'll probably be showing properties separately. We'll adjust some of the things that we do, and then we'll roll into the summertime. So it's, in my opinion, is that it's imperative for us to be in touch with our people now, communicating with them, using video, using Zoom, reaching out to the individuals a lot, and not reaching out to them necessarily saying, do you want to buy, do you want to sell? Reach out to them and just let them know what's going on. Just have a conversation with them. And that could be through email, through text, through video, through phone calling. That still works. Pick up a phone and call them up. And that way you're there, you're part of their life, you're letting them know, you're being the messenger of information. You can talk with them, chat with them, and then when the floodgates open up, you're their resource still. And there's a lot of people that are doing absolutely nothing. A lot of people are at home, they're playing, they're doing nothing, they're freaking out, they're stressing out. And then when that floodgate opens up, a lot of real estate brokers are going to be jumping on that phone. They're going to be calling all their people saying, do you want to buy, you want to sell? And the people are going to be looking at them or listening to them like, well, where the hell were you the past 2-3 months? And so I think it's good. It's just human nature to go out and reach out, talk to people. Look how nice it is to see everybody's faces versus sitting at home. You know, I'm going stir crazy sitting at home. And you go out and you're out in the public. The other day, Connie and I were walking, and we said hi to this little lady that always walks her little dog that we've seen for 10 years. And all that's been is, hi, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon. And that's it. This time she stops and talks to us for like 10, 15 minutes, keeping our social distance, but she wanted to interact with somebody. She wanted to talk to a person. And I think when this floodgate opens up, people are going to jump overboard to recreate. They're going to, that's what their focus is going to be. They're going to want to come up to the mountains. Our last 9/11, when we had the whole United States go into a funk, people stayed close to home for a couple of years after that. This is going to hurt, I think, the travel industry. People who want to go to Europe, people who want to go other places, they're going to stay closer to home. And that's what happened after 9/11. I think Lucy Kay, she's the director of marketing for Breckenridge, said the same thing, that you're going to see a lot of people that are going to be recreating close to home. So our Denver market's going to be coming up here in hordes. They're going to be up here a ton this summer once they get the go ahead. And those people are going to want to buy real estate. And the thing is that even though VRBO might take a hit, people that are renting short term may take a hit, because a lot of us are going to say, did you sanitize that place before I'm going to go stay where someone else just stayed? Or as Lisa said about her house, I'm comfortable at my place because I know what's been cleaned and they're my germs. I think you might see a certain number of people that are going to want to buy real estate that are not going to want to rent it out. They're going to want to control who's in that property versus the people that just want to rent it out or VRBO. So yeah, you might have some people that aren't going to buy because their rental numbers might not be as positive in the near term. But you can have other people too. They're going to want to rent it out so they can control their environment. And they're going to want to buy, they're going to want to recreate. And it's not going to be just for a few months. It's going to be probably for a few years that they're going to be coming up here more than going to Spain, going to England, going to, traveling far. They're going to be traveling close. So I think our near term, next few months is going to be tough. We need to stay in touch with our people, and we need to be ready for them when this door is opened up, and that door is going to open up. And then we can hit it hard. Use our newfound video skills to stay in touch even better. But anyways, that I think is it for my stats. Anybody have any questions? Or a lot of you are on mute, so I won't be able to hear you if you.
So the beginning of the year started great. Bottom line.
You blipped out there, Butch. You started great.
I said the beginning of the year got off to a great start until we all had to stay home.
Yeah, I agree. First 3 months were very good.
I think that's a good point to make with people. Until we couldn't do something, we did a lot.
Hey, Jeff, one observation on your inventory. The overall inventory is up big, but single family inventory is actually down on a year-over-year basis. Any thoughts as to why there'd be such a difference? Multifamily's up in the mid-30s% and single family's down like 3-4%.
Oh, you mean for the active listings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Right now we're into, maybe that might be, right, we've had a surge of people who can't rent their properties that are sticking them on the market. That could be one of the reasons. And right now it's too early. That would be my guess to answer that question.
Eric, I'd like to just throw something in that I have 3 properties that are single family residences and 2 of them are occupied. And so they're not going to even try and get on until they could do it safely, until we could have showings. So for the one vacant one that I have, that's one story, but I think there's inventory out there waiting for a safe environment to have showings.
Yeah, there's a number of people that have contacted me, Eric, and asking if they should put their property on the market because either one, they have a tenant, long-term tenant in there, and or they have permanent, the owners are living there. And as Scott Peterson mentioned, I think on Monday in his webinar that he did, he couldn't understand why somebody would want to put themselves at risk or their tenant at risk, have their property on the market, showing it right now, wait a month or two, and then do that. Make more sense. So that you might see even more come on the market of properties that are rented long term and or properties where people live in them full time here in a month or two.
Yeah. Well, it is this trend of the single family being down year over year has been going on now 3 or 4 months. So it's not just a virus related event. And the other thing, I was talking to somebody who's down in Denver who was looking to put their house on the market, and their realtor down there was telling them that inventory was actually shrinking in the Denver market, which I found kind of interesting. I don't know if that's true, but that was anecdotally what was told.
Well, that could make sense. We're a second home market, so a lot of our properties are unoccupied, so it's easier to list. In Denver, most of those properties are occupied, so it's harder to list. So they may see their flood come out later on when showings become easier and there's less of a concern.
I've been talking to several Denver brokers and they said that people are withdrawing like crazy just for safety reasons, particularly primary homes.
Well, yeah, when you watch the news, why would you, if we're staying at home to stay away from people, and when we walk down the bike path, we walk as far away from the next person as possibly can, who would want to have all those people traipsing through your house? Even if you walked out of the house, you'd have to come in and disinfect everything so you felt comfortable. And it makes sense that people that occupy their properties would hold off for a while and put them on the market later on. To me, anyways.
I think it's important, if you have not had an opportunity to watch CAR's legal panel and their discussions on this, that you do, because that's one of the reasons that we've had a problem is somebody displaced a tenant in order to do a showing, and then they reported him to the Attorney General, which changed the environment of showing. So that was one piece of the puzzle, but there are protocols and suggestions from CAR Legal that are important to be aware of, as well as the stuff that came down from NAR.
Speaking of NIR, there's going to be some sort of an update at 1 o'clock today. Saw that via email from NAR. Also, Jeff, you mentioned earlier indirect competition and direct competition. What did you mean by indirect competition?
When there's fewer properties on the market, I can have a 2-bedroom in Frisco and my next nearest competition is a 2-bedroom in Dillon. And with more properties on the market, you're going to have, instead of 1 or 2 Park Place units, you might have 4. And so you'll have more direct like properties on the market. So in other words, it's easy to say that 2-bedroom condo sold for X price. And now you have 4 of them on the market. They can't just have a price that's way off out of whack because they have direct competition that's going to hold them in line.
Well, what's indirect competition?
If you have a 2-bedroom condo at Park Place, indirect might be another 2-bedroom across the county or across Main Street somewhere else. Atrium 2-bedroom. That's indirect. I think it's more of that.
Complex to complex, in other words.
Right, complex or even.
That the email was coming out, Roger? You said something was coming down from NAR. What was that?
I saw an email earlier today, and it's a conference. Let's see. At 1 o'clock. It says, don't miss NAR's Leadership Live today at 1 p.m. Eastern, which would be 11 o'clock our time. So any minute, I guess. It's one of many ways the Realtor organization is working to answer your questions about unemployment, SBA loans, and all things corona.
Well, between NAR and CAR and REMAX, we have had an amazing amount of information that has come down. You could spend your whole day listening to all that they have to say, but just like anything else, if you get a couple of good bits out of it, it makes a difference in your conversations with your people.
Yeah, I would had an email from one of my representative at REMAX International, and it was an email, it was an Instagram post where basically he said everyone's saying, oh, now I've got all the time in the world to go clean my closet or paint my garage or something you've always dreamed of doing and having the time to do it. His comment was, don't do that. Spend your time working, contacting your people, being productive versus not doing anything. And so there's just a ton of things that we could be doing right now. And those that do are going to come out smelling like a rose. Those that don't are going to feel the pain. How's that as we move forward? And so I think that's good advice. I think being productive. I think even BJ mentioned that having something to do during the day makes you feel better. Not cleaning the garage, although sometimes it makes you feel better, but being productive, knowing you're working towards a positive gain down the road versus just saying, I'm just going to take whatever the world throws at me. Well, no, I'm going to do what I can to make it better. I've got all these resources out there to make my life better. I'm going to take action on that. And those people are going to feel better today, and their business is going to be better tomorrow. And there's going to be a lot of people that aren't doing that. Our last big downturn that I pointed out, it was real estate related, and it was a huge downturn. I'm thinking this downturn is not going to be nearly what that one was. In that one, I can't remember the exact numbers, but we had 1.5 million realtors in the nation. And after that downturn, it dropped to close to half. And we saw a lot of people in Summit County doing the same thing. A lot of people that were used to, say, internet leads, for example, used to funneling things in, getting a buyer, closing on them, and then moving on to the next one, but not nurturing that buyer that just bought. And those people had a very hard time. A lot of those people got out of the real estate business in Summit County, and then they came back when that part of the market improved. So yeah, I think take advantage of all that stuff. Take advantage of what Josh, that's my representative from REMAX, said. And don't clean your closet. Start doing stuff that's productive. Reach out, talk to somebody. Do it today. If you have 100 people on your list, call 10 a day, email 10 a day, send a video 10 a day. Do something like that. You'll find out that they're happy to talk to you. It's like the old, like what I mentioned before, when I first started working here, I put some skis on my shoulder, walking out the door of our Breck office when we were in the red building. My dad said, what are you doing? I said, well, I've got nothing to do. I don't have any business. And he walks over, and back then it was all on paper. He gave me a stack of paper, about 1,000 names, and said, here, call all these people. And of course I squawked, no way, I'm not going to do that. I'm bugging them, Dad. I'm not in this business to bug people. Just call them. Keep your phone call to 3 minutes. Ask them these questions, and you're going to find that it's going to be hard to get them off the phone in 3 minutes because they want to talk about Summit County. They want to talk about the restaurants. They want to talk about the activities. And I did. I called every single one, and every single one, for the most part, 95%, I had to try to get them off the phone because they wanted to talk about Summit County, and some wanted to talk about real estate, but they all wanted to talk about something. So your people today are no different. They want to know what's going on. They love Summit County. They love all the little things that we're used to. With a Moose Jaw burger or something like that. That's people will travel from other states and dream of having a Moose Jaw hamburger in Moose Jaws, which now we're kind of like, that's we used to do that. Now we don't do it anymore. But everyone loves our area. I mean, they love Summit County. And reach out to them. Say hi.
The Summit Association of Realtors doing pizza and politics, I believe I don't know if it's at 11 or noon.
Noon.
It's going to be the Summit County Health Department. They're going to talk a little bit more about what our position is in the world and being able to move about. So I think that's important for people to see.
Jeff, what's the thinking or the situation with respect to us as independent contractors whose livelihoods are greatly affected by this coronavirus thing, getting any of the stimulus checks and so on, any financial help? Do we have a position?
Yeah, I've sent out all kinds of stuff on that. If you go on there and check it out, I've already applied personally, and everyone here should go out there and apply. There's only limited amount of money, so they're being. I think President Trump was on talking about that yesterday. They're just getting hammered with applications. So I think Wells Fargo, somebody posted where they applied for an SBA loan. Wells Fargo basically sent them a canned response saying, "We're overwhelmed right now. We'll get to you as soon as we can." First Bank SBA loan, they said, "We'll get to you within 72 hours." The $10,000 one, that's not the SBA loan, but the disaster relief fund, that's online that's the $10,000 one. You fill it out, and then you get a little confirmation number on your screen, and then nothing else. So you're kind of going, well, what's going on? And but I urge you to go fill that out. It's that, as Jared James said, that's 10 grand free money. So get online.
I talked to that Lindio company that Scott mentioned, and it's Lendio. They were super responsive. The guy called me several times. I sent everything into him. I need to follow up with him, but it was like so smooth line, and he was like the nicest human being I've talked to in a long time. It was so helpful. So maybe try that. That's not through the local bank, but that was the site that Scott guy suggested, I think.
Scott Peterson.
But it seemed, I mean, I sent them everything that they need. And it depends, I think, on how you're set up, because there's money for independent contractors, or like I'm an S Corp, so I'm an employee, so I get payroll. So I guess, there's all those different avenues that you probably can get money from.
I would be contacting the bank of your choice, or the place that BJ did. And that's the SBA loan. And then you have to do the other one, the disaster relief. You just go online and fill that one online through the government site. And then the unemployment insurance for independent contractors, are going to make some ruling or open that up, I think, by April 10th. So you can actually apply for unemployment as an independent contractor as well. So that's coming down.
Hey, Jeff, for everyone, I'll send out a video. I watched it last night because I wanted to understand a little bit more about what I was getting into if I was signing up for any of these loans. And it's about an hour-long video, but it's well worth watching. It just explains everything and the opportunities that we all have. Because for independent contractors, S Corps, whatever, you have an opportunity to sign up for some of these benefits. And then he goes through the difference, the PPP and the 10 grand one. I don't know all the names of them, but I'll send that out right after this meeting to everybody. It's
great.
Jeff, and all the conversations that we may have with people in the days ahead, they're going to be asking us questions about this. And I think it was Scott Peterson and a few other people that said, be really careful about what kind of conversations you have about mortgage forbearance and payments and things like that, and whether or not your loan is federally insured and eligible for some of the things that are there. So I just urge you to get really educated before you have the conversations.
Yeah, I wouldn't be giving advice. I'd be giving resources. So give them resources that they can contact that will give them the professional advice. There was an article I read on that this morning that said pretty much the same thing. In other words, on the internet, social media, whatever, somebody might be saying, you don't have to pay your rent. You don't have to pay your mortgage for 3 months. Well, that's not necessarily true. You have to communicate with your bank and get it organized. And if you just don't pay your rent or don't pay your mortgage, you're going to end up being in default. And some of these benefits, if you're in default, do not apply. So in other words, don't take what I said and pass that around as gospel. Tell them to go talk to the bank. get their advice directly from their lender, what they can and cannot do. That makes good sense. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, guys and girls. Appreciate it.
Thank
Signing
you.
off.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Everyone have a great day.
Be well.
Bye.
Bye, Lisa. Bye, Lise.
Yeah. Have fun in Florida, Christine.
Thanks.